This is a great question. I've heard of a number of people who use different paddles when they play singles or when they play doubles. And usually it has to do with the different tactics related to each of the games. Here, let me explain. All right, so I grabbed this old bad boy from my basement. It's been a while since we've seen this kind of Maxima, isn't it? But I wanted to pull this out because this was the first one of the first ones at least, in pickleball to be really long and narrow, the Maxima. And a lot of players would use this when they played singles. Now, if we compare that to this guy, okay, one of my favorite paddles right now, the S2 Vanguard 2.0 series, okay? Now, if we compare the two, you'll see there's some important differences here, but let's look at the most important. Okay, so the most important difference here is the length. You are gonna have more reach when you're playing with this old Maxima than you would with this S2, right? And that's because how much surface area, this is a nice rough feeling surface. How much surface area you have really matters. The narrower the paddle you make, the longer it can be. Now, why would you want a longer paddle? Well, longer paddles give you more reach, right? And that's really important when you're playing singles and you're all by your lonesome out on the court. You've got to cover a lot of territory yourself. So having a little bit more reach can actually be very attractive. Now, there's another reason too. When you play doubles pickleball, there's a lot of these bang-bang exchanges right up close to the net, these reflex volleys where the ball comes really quickly. And in that case, where you have very little time to react, it's nice to have something that's like got a nice big sort of squarish kind of surface area in case you get those little mishits off center, right? This is a pretty forgiving shape of a paddle. Now, compare that to this old Maxima. Well, look, the sweet spot here is pretty tiny. If you hit this ball a little bit off center here or a little bit off center here, you're gonna have some problems. Now, in doubles pickleball, there's a lot of those bang-bang rallies, right? Where you don't have much time to react and you might need a little bit more forgiveness that something like this might offer you. But in singles, there's less of that, where both players are up near the net smacking the ball at each other. It's typically more about one person at the baseline trying to hit a passing shot, for example. And so since you have more time to react in a lot of scenarios in singles, maybe, some people say, you don't need to have so much forgiveness for those off-center hits. Maybe you're gonna have fewer of those because often in singles you have more time to react. So in that case, a slightly longer paddle, you get the benefit of the longer reach, and yeah, it's a little narrower, maybe a little less forgiving, but maybe you don't need it quite so much. One more thing to say has to do with leverage. You can get more leverage when you're using this longer paddle. And in singles, the serve is so important. It's important in doubles too, but it's so important in singles because if you can make your opponent hit a poor return, then you're more likely to be able to hit a third shot past them, right? And having this longer paddle, which gives you a little bit more leverage, means you might be able to whip that serve a little bit harder, a little bit deeper, a little bit more spin, creating that opportunity. So there used to be a lot of people, I see fewer and fewer of them now, but who said, hey, when I play singles, I'm going to use this kind of a paddle that gives me more leverage, that yeah, it's less forgiving, but I have more reach because I need it in singles. And when I'm going to go out and play doubles, something like this.